Steve, I think my first question would be like what we normally see with Web3 projects just starting out is that they're sort of identifying a certain problem. I'm not sure if that's the case as well with Fintopio. So like my first question would be like, did you identify a certain problem in the space? And if so, like what is sort of the main problem you're trying to solve with Fintopio?
Yeah, ultimately, the main problem we're trying to solve at Fintopio, I think, is access for people, democratization. I've been in this space since 2017, not before then. And what I really see is the level of complexity in the Web3 space for non-crypto people. And I think what I really want to try and do is really bring a simplicity of user experience to non-crypto folks. So it's about that mass adoption and demystifying and democratizing crypto. That's really what we're setting out to do through the payment space.
Okay, so the main mission is to make like Web3 more accessible and use of wallets more accessible. Is that the best way to put your mission?
Yeah, it's exactly that, right? Because we know that people using wallets today they are accessible, but they're still complicated, but the adoption rate is still relatively low. But I think if we want to get mass market retail users into this space, we have to really adopt the sort of same simplicity standards that Web2 payments have, and that's what we've really been designing Fintopio to do, to sort of be this sort of easy access, straightforward, send money via chat messaging that really reduces the barriers to entry for those folks that perhaps aren't as technically savvy as those in the sector right now.
Yeah, I fully understand that. But of course, you have a lot of competitors. For example, there's a Telegram wallet now as well. And of course, I guess they have the same mission. So how are you actually looking to sort of like distinguish yourself from all the competitors out there?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a good point to make about there's 2 or 3 areas where I think we have an edge on competitors. I mean, first of all, I'll come back to Telegram's existing wallet in a minute, but ultimately, we've decided primarily to build on Telegram because we believe it's a platform that is both still growing extremely quickly, is still technology advanced for other chat platforms. And so we think it's also the place to start with. Then, yes, there are competitors out there. There are actually only 2 verified wallets on Telegram, Fintopio and Wallet. So although there are many other wallets on Telegram, there are only 2 that are verified, and that's us 2. So our competitive set is actually quite more limited than you may think. And then thirdly, we have to basically just have better technology, better approach, better user experience than our competitors. One of the things I've lived in my career on is that you don't have to be first to market, you just have to be better. And so we really see that that we can outcompete anyone in this space through our technology and team. So that's really going to be our goal. And I said, but really being trusted and verified already on Telegram is a big part of us, and I think that's going to be really helpful to us going forward.
Okay. Yeah, you tapped into the technology, this sort of differentiating factor, of course. Maybe if you can get a little bit more technical, like how do you actually like what is the main point of the technology that makes it better than the existing technology out there?
Yeah, so what we are today, we're essentially a DeFi wallet, which is relatively industry standard. We'll soon move into becoming a centralized CeFi wallet, and then we hope to move into the fiat payment space as well. So I see ourselves more as almost infrastructure as well, as opposed to being a DeFi wallet. This is really only stage 1. So ultimately, our goal is to really become the go-to payment platform on Telegram and beyond. So it's not just DeFi, not just CeFi, not just crypto, but we believe that fiat also an opportunity for us. So that's when I think the team we've been building is really thinking about that long-term goal now. So the things we put in place, we can scale as we get going, as opposed to sort of doing it incrementally. So we've got a real goal to build the right infrastructure, and that's what the team are up to now. The dev team really building the long-term infrastructure that is scalable and dependable, that will allow us to move into much other spaces as well.
Yeah, so if the technology is actually scalable, like you quickly mentioned it already, you want to start off with Telegram, but like what other platforms can you see Fintopio actually moving into? Is that something also for like short term, or what's your vision on that?
No, so look, we're going to move pretty quickly into, so Telegram bot is our first product to market, because I think it's just a great place to start. We have the web app already available, and we're very close now to the Android and iOS app as well. So we'll at least be in those three platforms for sure. And again, so a lot of people start out as just Telegram bots. We've got a fully fledged iOS and Android app that's really in development already and very close to development. So again, we're really focused on making sure that the dev team have been building out the stuff that's difficult now. So that's very encouraging for us. So we'll be bot, mini app, web app, and then into native iOS app as well.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, you also, like, besides technology, you said user friendliness is a big point, of course. Could you maybe explain a little bit how it actually works? Like, do people just send a message on Telegram? Like, could you elaborate on the whole process?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, what we know is, of course, people are very used to their mobile phones as sending chat messages, whether it's, WhatsApp or Telegram or anyone else. And what we've managed to do, like other wallets have done as well, is really build the concept on sending payments as easy as sending a chat message. And I always think about, people like, my dear old mother, right? She'll chat message me all the time. But if I can ask her to sort of send me $10 or, whatever it is that she owes me for something via chat message, that's the sweet spot to us. So behind that simplicity is a lot of technology, but that's really the core to it. How can you send money to a username very easily as you would a chat message? And of course, once you think about people's usernames, it allows you to start to send tokens or payments to any username across any platform. And so that's exactly what I said earlier, is about that user experience. People know how to send chat messages. They know how to send photographs. They know how to send videos and GIFs, etc. Sending them payments like that is a really small step in terms of people's ability to do that. We just have to make sure that the technology is simple and straightforward. And I think that's really where we're diving into. And I think we're getting pretty close to that.
Okay, that's great. And currently, to be clear, you guys are in the beta testing phase, right?
Yeah, we're in the beta. Well, we launched the product on 7th of April. The product itself, we said beta because ultimately we want to give us some room in case we want to, take a step back or pivot in a direction. But really, the DeFi product we've got out there is really the fully fledged product. And we want to move forward in that. So, what also we don't want to do is we don't really want to, pump the community like many other projects do as well. It's about growing for the long term. I like to use the phrase very often, we're here to build bonfires, not light fireworks. And so there are many ways to drive a community to 100,000 people very quickly. That's not really our goal. I think we want to be steady and safe and secure going forward. And so really for me, if I look at the metrics on our subscriber base and wallets created, it's really encouraging. But we're not in a race to do this. I think that's another important point I want to take is we're a long-term project. We're well-funded, got a good team. And so I'm looking at horizons now, which are, 2 to 3 to 5 years out as my role as CEO and founder. That's my time horizon, as opposed to, is this a 10-month bull run or not?
Yeah, you were talking about like the 5-year horizon. And you also mentioned that you have the funding, you already have the good team in place. Like, what do you envision in 5 years' time? Like, where do you want to be with Fintopio?
Yes, I think that goes in hand with even a platform like Telegram. Telegram is what 900, to 1 billion users shortly, and then will continue to grow. Is, are we the number one payments processor or payment app on Telegram? Hopefully, yes. What market share do we have of that? Hopefully, very high. And then do we, we look at brands like WeChat Pay, who become very integrated into the payment model. So yeah, we really think becoming the premium go-to payment processor, particularly on Telegram and beyond, is really key for us. I don't want to put numbers on that at this stage, but we're talking tens of millions of users and beyond. We certainly have the ambitions to really be a major player in this space.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And to quickly go back to the beta stage right now, you mentioned that the metrics are looking promising. Could you maybe share some insights of that, like how many users are using the wallet right now?
Yeah, so what we've noticed already is, because the interesting thing about the DeFi is you can actually either create a new DeFi wallet on Fintopio, or you can translate your MetaMask or your Trust wallet into the Fintopio user experience as well. So we're really seeing, on average, the main user having 3 to 4 on average wallets in Fintopio. So if you say, we've got, 10,000 users, that's equating already to 40 to 50,000 wallets. So we're seeing people bring multiple wallets into Fintopio. Now, ultimately, what I think may happen is people will start to consolidate those, because, even myself, I have multiple wallets across various, and it's frustrating to keep a track of those again. So I think even one of our opportunities as Fintopio is to pull them together into one space. It may not be one wallet, but it's certainly one user experience. And again, that for me is a critical part of that simple user experience that we want to bring to people.
Okay, and tying into that simple user experience is the of course, the wallet is non-custodial. Is that like an important factor? Like what is the influence on that of Fintopio?
Yeah, I mean, non-custodial is a good place to start for sure. But we're working very hard now with regulators in certain parts of the world, because we really see CeFi as being important to us as well, and we really see fiat payments being important as well to us. So really, part of my role is, as the CEO, is to work very much with the legal and regulatory team that we have to build our licenses so we can actually move into CeFi more, and then into fiat payments. So I think non-custodial is a good place for us to start, a good place, as I said, to sort of build our reputation, build trust, build connections with people. But ultimately, we need to then start our conversations with regulators, both in Europe, CIS markets as well. We're talking to in Abu Dhabi and Dubai is also where we've been having conversations. So that regulatory part of it's going to be very important for us as we lean into CeFi for certain.
Okay, and do you think this whole legal aspect and regulations, can it be like is that one of the main challenges right now for the future growth?
Yeah, I think it's important for this sector in general. I mean, I spent previously, before I joined the team, I was working at Binance, and Binance did a lot of work at the regulatory side of things. It's very important, particularly if you're dealing with payments. You've got to build that trust, and ultimately building trusted regulators is really critical. I think users will then see that regulation relationship is very important as well. So building trust is super important. And, I think it's harder and slower, but it's got to be critical, right, to build a long-term business. And that really comes back to one of my previous points is this is a long-term project in that respect. And therefore, regulations takes a long time to get to. And we're really happy to take that on board and happy to work through all those areas. Maybe slow, sometimes maybe hugely complicated. But it's something that we're willing to take on.
Okay, this sounds promising. And also, I think a lot of people, when choosing their the wallet to use, you talked about the technology, the ease of use. I think a factor which we haven't really touched upon is the security aspect, which is one of the most important aspects, I feel when choosing a wallet. Yeah, could you maybe tell us about what the safety standards are at Fintopio?
Yeah, so extremely high. And I think one of the areas where we've already demonstrated to the Telegram team, particularly because now we've become a verified wallet, is that our standards of security are super high. We've been very fortunate to work with people in and around, not directly with the Telegram team, but in and around that ecosystem. And of course, we know security is very important to all folks on the Telegram space. So that's really where we've set our standards high on. Of course, we are still getting some third-party auditing as well, again, to prove to people or show people a trust mark. But that's really critical for us as well. But I think one of the things is that we've set the standards high ourselves internally, and that's going to have to also continue to be developed, particularly going to CeFi, and particularly as we think about fiat payments as well. So that's definitely something that's really key to us, and that's why I'm really delighted that some of our dev teams are really embedded in this space. Because it's incredibly important for us to do that.
And in the beginning of our conversation, we already talked about the Telegram wallet, which they introduced. like, aren't you like concerned that they are taking over? Of course, Telegram is a big player. Aren't you concerned that they are going to take over a big portion of the market?
Yeah, well, I think they already have I think they're clearly the largest wallet on Telegram, which is absolutely they've had that first mover advantage, which is really great. I think what's important though is that you need to create competition and market to grow the market. And I think that's really important because we need to provide something that's different to what's already in the marketplace. And then we need to work harder and work smarter. So I think it's a benefit to have several players in the marketplace because it then demonstrates to people there's a critical mass of firms in this space, etc. And then users make a decision based on how they connect with the business, a brand, or how they see the team operating. So I think it's actually a pretty good thing to have competition. And I think that's and I think I relish that from my sort of Web 2 days when I was in the very competitive industries. I think it's competition is good. It then inspires people to work harder as well, to innovate more. And so if I was on an existing team like Wallet, and I've had no competition really for a period of time, I've now got to start innovating again. And that's that innovation I think will drive people to better standards.
Okay, it's a very interesting viewpoint, and yeah, 100%. I think, maybe if you can compete with Telegram, of course they're setting the high standards. But I like a question that comes to mind is like how do you want to compete with them, because they have an established name in the market, of course. It's also really easy to use. They probably have the same vision. Like, how do you want to attract maybe the users that are already using that wallet? How do you want to attract them to Fintopio? Is that purely like building a better product and then let the product do the talk, or is it like marketing? Like, how do you plan to address that?
Yeah, so I think the product, if we move into other areas where perhaps they're not focused on, is important. But then I then come back to you make the point there about branding and marketing. It's very important. I think you have to be, as any brand, you have to connect with your users. And I think we will certainly want to build a personality to the brand and to a community support that I think is going to be very important. As we know, and people in this space know very well, the community is so critical to growing and engaging. The team we're working on from a marketing team have a lot of experience in community building there's some really top tier crypto marketplaces in this space. And so, yeah, we have to appeal to a community, and that, whether it's from giveaways to memes to trust, all these things will be super interesting to do that. We've got some really smart ideas about community building, community engagement. And yeah, so I think accessibility is going to be very important to us as well. I think we have to show up publicly in many spaces. I myself was in Dubai last week at several conferences, several events. So yeah, I think engaging the community, taking them with it is going to be super important to us. And I think everyone would recognize that, community is critical. And I really hope that we can find that sweet spot with the community and give them something that they really, really align to and really want to be part of.
Sounds great. And if we're looking at short term, is community building, is it like top priority, or are you guys looking to first like fully launch the wallet? Like what can we expect in the upcoming year, let's say?
Yeah, I think we want to walk and talk at the same time. I think I think one of the benefits I joined the project team. Well, I really kicked off the project team last July. It's been critical. We've been doing a lot of testing in-house. It was critical for us to get launched so we can then really start to engage the community, which we've done. But there again, I think while we have a roadmap in place for the product and we have some roadmap in place for marketing, I'm not going to be too wedded to that because this is a very fast-moving, dynamic industry. I'm very happy that we pivot as we go. And if we find that users want something that we're not giving them, or we feel we're not giving them enough, then we can move as well. So I want to be very fluid as we go along. We've got a good tech roadmap, as I said, but also, let's listen to what our users want and let's pivot if we need to. So I think walk and talk at the same time. But I think it's absolutely critical is that we don't overpromise at this point in time. We've all seen projects that are really coming out, those fireworks, as I mentioned earlier. Let's build a strong base, first and foremost. Let's be considerate and let's settle in for the long run. That's definitely really the goal for us.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like you said, you said pivot as we go. Like, could you maybe envision a future where like you move beyond just payments as well with Fintopio? Is that a potential possibility?
Yeah, I think so, because not only I think is Fintopio a wallet in its own right and a consumer brand in its own right, I can very much see us becoming, a B2B infrastructure play for other projects as well. One of us, as I said, our secret sauce is the quality of our developers, and I think we can build financial infrastructure as well as building a consumer brand. And I think doing both of those things, I think it's a really interesting area for us to lean into.
Okay, and it seems, that seems like a cool idea, 100% to become sort of the main infrastructure. That's a pretty big goal. And like in order to reach that, like what are sort of the main challenges you see ahead? Of course, you talked about the regulations. Like what do you see as other challenges? Maybe like competitors like Telegram, or what do you envision as the main challenges right now?
Yeah, I think at the moment, if you look at the main sort of Web2 players, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, etc., they've all really leaned into the crypto space for sure, absolutely. Particularly Visa and MasterCard, they've done an excellent job in this space. But it's still ultimately a fraction of their business compared to their main payments. So if you look at us the other way around, is we're going to be in a 90% Web3 payment model. And so we can really, I think, build our expertise in this area. Now, I'm not saying the likes of Visa and MasterCard are not going to continue to build their crypto rails, but it's not their core business. But where for us, it is our core business. And I think that if that gives us enough space, I think, where we can really demonstrate our expertise and work in this area, whereas the other major fiat payment rails are not going to do that. So I think that gives us a really interesting space where we can also, develop at a time when others may not be so focused on that.